just wanted to real quick share with you the budget status for FY14 and explain to you maybe why Patricia's always so busy. At any one point in time, we're working on 3 different budget cycles. We're currently in the FY12 budget cycle in terms of execution, so it's important for Patricia and I to work together to know what the current budget status is. And we're getting ready for FY13, which will start in October 1 of 2012. And so we're getting ready to try and implement that, as Michael said, possibly anticipating a continuing resolution, which would be unfortunate because the President's budget was more favorable to the laboratory than a CR would be. And then finally, just yesterday, we did our initial presentation to DOE headquarters for our FY14 budget. And one of the reasons we wanted to chat with you all today and then possibly at the next CAB meeting in a little more detail is to share some information on our FY14 budget submittal, because there will become a point in time in about a month to 6 weeks where that information will become embargoed, which means we are not allowed to talk about it until the President ultimately releases the FY14 budget, which would probably be February-ish of 13, is that correct, approximately?
Yes, I think so.
So as is common during our budget preparation submittal process, we're asked to do a couple of different scenarios. And the main scenario that I wanted to visit with you all this afternoon about is what we call our base case or level case. And what that case would do moving forward is fund our environmental program at the same level as the President's budget this year, which is approximately $239 million. At that funding level, we are confident that we can continue to execute a lot of the scope that Michael shared with you earlier in terms of completing the 3706 True campaign by the June 30th, 2014 deadline. It'll allow us to implement the scope that's defined in the framework agreement that y'all learned about and helped us bring forward at the CAB meeting that was up in northern New Mexico back in January. Even with that base case funding, though, as we acknowledged back in January, we still would not be able to meet the 2015 consent order milestone that's still on the books. The other case or the other scenario that we are often able to try and move forward with headquarters is called an investment case, and that's an opportunity where we are able to take a step back and either look at risks or look at opportunities to either shorten the amount of time it's going to take to do our cleanup activities, or change the way that we're going to approach cleanup so that we can save money, or accelerate the way that we reduce risk. And so our investment case is approximately a 10% markup from what our base case would be. So we're looking at somewhere between around $260 million for those types of activities, that type of approach. And some of the scope that we would hope to address more aggressively if we got more funding, one of them would be what we call the 33 shafts that are out at TA54 and MDAG. And I think we've talked about those before. That's going to be a particularly challenging project for us, and it's going to be a potentially expensive project for us, and with some additional funding, that'll allow us to tackle that project more aggressively and more quickly. Other opportunities would be to look at some deep vadostone remediation opportunities, to try and, Michael talked a little bit, and Carlos, you were talking about TA21. Some additional funding would allow us to get in there and do that decontamination demolition quicker, and ideally get that property cleaned up and available to transfer or convey to the county more swiftly. Another opportunity that we could attack more aggressively with a higher funding level would be some of the chromium cleanup in Morton Dad and Sandia Canyons. Again, Michael just mentioned some of the challenges we have in groundwater remediation, how deep the aquifer is, and wanting to attack the source. Any supplemental funding that we might receive could be put to very good use in that regard as well. So just to close real quick, we'd like to try and come back, Ed and Ralph, mid to, or the next CAB meeting, or late April with a little more detail, so we can maybe discuss a little bit more about the scope and the projects. We're going to be working closely with our colleagues at NMED on an annual basis as the framework agreement calls out to prioritize scope and prioritize work, and that way we can give you as good a vision as we can prior to that information becoming embargoed, and then, like I said, it'll pop out when the President submits his budget back in 2013. So.
Pete, we've carved out about an hour on April 25th.
Great.
Up at the library for you to talk to the president.
Excellent. Hopefully that'll work for you too. So with that, I wanted to thank the board and just say that I really am looking forward to working with you guys closely in the months and years to come. It's an honor to be appointed to the position that I have. I take it very seriously, and we'll continue to do the best job we have. We've got some great staff at the site office and down here in Albuquerque, and it's going to be a blast to work with them. So